So today's call had a few main points that we were going to cover. I'll just review what those are. They are how to increase productivity by monitoring employee activity, the exception log, assigning unproductive events, and automated alerts. So we will jump right in. How to increase productivity by monitoring employee activity. So you're managing somebody, you have the license installed on their computer, and you want to get a better idea of what are they doing, how are they spending their time. That is a very common use of the software, and the other side being making sure they aren't moving things that they shouldn't be, which I'll also show you in a minute. But for now, let's make sure they're not wasting time, going to places they shouldn't be, and things like that. So you guys can see the interface. This first view is more of a high-level view of here are some things that you've said are concerning to you, and they're kind of pulled to the surface. So let's leave that for now, and let's go over to the user view. So the user view is a quick view of all of your active users for that day. It's a one-day view, so usually you'd be looking at today's date, and you'd say, who's working today, when did they log in? It will show you when they first logged in, when did they last log off. Throughout that time, how active have they been? And active time is literally interacting with a computer in some way, so typing, scrolling, clicking, something like that. So you'll see that there is a difference between total duration and actual active time. If you wanted to see of that active time, when were they interacting with the computer, you can look at the heat map, which is, when were they doing the most work and when were they the least active or not active at all. How much of that activity was productive versus unproductive, and I will show you again how to do that. Their latest activity, and then a screenshot view. So to see somebody's specific data, maybe you want to know what one of these people did. Well, maybe I want to sort this first by how much active time people have had. Let's go to most active time. So Dwight had 10 hours, so I can click on Dwight. Actually, let's do Jim. Jim had 5 hours, but I see he has 9 alerts versus 2 alerts. And alerts, again, you set those, and it could be something like they typed a specific word that you said you want to know about. They visited a certain type of website, or they did certain behaviors that you said you want to be notified about, whether it's sending too many webmails or visiting blocked websites, stuff like that. So if you click on Jim's name, it'll actually pull up a separate kind of view or user view, which is specific to Jim. The first few graphs here tell you probably the most important details right away, which alerts of the ones that were triggered, what was the breakdown, what websites has he been going to from all websites. You can actually view just unproductive websites if you wanted to, but this is everything. And then what applications has he been using. You could do, were there any risky, were they unproductive, and I'll show you again how to build out that productive versus unproductive logic. It's very easy to do, and it does not take long, and it will start to tell a story as soon as you add value to those things, or assignments if you assign them as productive versus unproductive. So down below, aside from these graphs, is what's called the activity log, and it's basically all of Jim's activity in chronological order, this being the most recent. So I can come down here and see, okay, well, most recently he's been in Firefox. Well, that's fine if we use Firefox for work. If you guys only use Chrome or Edge for work purposes, or if it's Mac and use Safari, then you might know that if he's using Firefox, he's actually probably doing personal stuff, so you might set that as unproductive. So again, I'll show you how to do that. Very straightforward. Basically, you're just clicking on the box of green being productive and red being unproductive. But here it's just a view of all of his activities. So I can see emails, and if I wanted to see the detail of this email, see it's a webmail. Well, if we use Outlook and he's sending webmails, well, maybe I want to know more about that. I can click on it, and it'll pull up the details of that email. And with webmail, it will show you literally the content of the email itself, as well as Outlook. So all emails, you'll see the body of the email, see who it was from, who it was to, date and time, what computer did he use. If it's something that you are concerned about, you could print it out, bring it to a meeting. You could flag it by clicking on the flag and saying it turn into a red flag, and then that would send it over to the alert log, which I'll show you in a second, which is again where all the recent alerts and notifications show up most recently, so that you can quickly log in and say, hey, why are people going to this type of website, or why are people doing this type of behavior? So that's what the flags mean. Yellow being more we're reviewing it, and then green being we're okay with this. But again, you can see all the websites visited, file tracking, activity. Looks like this was a webmail with an attachment. Maybe that's a concern. I click on that. You can see the file name. Marketing proposal. Well, if it's for work and it's sending it through webmail, I might have a problem with that. Or maybe it's nothing to do with our work and it's something different. So, you might want to look more into Jim's activity. So again, this is a full view of what Jim has done. As far as how do I increase productivity, so there are a few things you can do here. Really, this ties into whether you consider something to be productive versus unproductive. I think the first indicator is how active have they been. So you can maybe sort by active time top down for Jim. Okay, where is he spending most of his time? Looks like an Outlook. Well, if that's for your company, then that's fine. WinWord.exe, that's probably good too. Everything after that kind of drops off. Firefox, again, if you're using that for the office, good. If not, you might want to look into what websites has he been going to. So if I want to say going forward the Firefox is unproductive, I would just click on the red box. It would say, do you want to do this? I would say yes, and it would turn all of the Firefoxes into unproductive and immediately change his ranking in terms of what percentage of his time was unproductive versus productive. So now you can see every Firefox is unproductive, and these settings will apply to everybody that's in Jim's group as well. So if you have the same settings for everybody, say you have 10 people and they all kind of have the same job, you'd put them all in the same group. If they're going to have the same settings, you'd keep them in the same group, and as a result of that, when I assign a setting for Jim, it will assign it for everybody in Jim's group as well. Maybe it's called the sales team. Maybe it's called the field team. Maybe it's called the accounting team, whatever it might be. But it'll apply to that whole team, which means you don't have to go into each person and build out this logic. And it will apply to all of the entries for Firefox.exe. So it doesn't take too long to build this out. This is the place to come to do that. And then going back to the kind of overview, and then being able to rank people from most unproductive down, you can see that Michael's 79% unproductive. I can see that was 56 unproductive events out of 71. That's concerning. So I might want to see specifically what he's doing, but maybe I just want to see what was unproductive. I could actually click on the circle. All of these are interactive in the sense that you can dig into the details right here. Again, 48 visits to Google. I might want to better understand what he's doing there. There are a lot of risky apps, so I can come over to apps and I can come down to risky, and I want to see what risky apps is he using. And if these are risky apps, then that's a concern. I'd probably want to have a conversation with him about that, because we build out that risky applications list for you, and they're known to be applications that are not used for business and for out-of-box purposes. And so unless you know of a reason why they should be, this would be a concern if he's using that many risky applications. But you could do it just by unproductive applications. You can see there's still a lot here. And then below, again, because I clicked on that circle, which was unproductive events, it's going to show me just the things in red, which is every website he went to that was unproductive. And again, just like we saw, most of them were Google. So, I might want to better understand what he's doing there. Looks like when he's at Google, he might be going to his Gmail account, so that might be what that is. Inbox, drafts, yeah, so he's sending emails, it looks like. But again, Gmail is a web-based mail, so it's going to be a website as well. But if I wanted to better understand what those web mails look like, or see kind of, well, what's the rest of his day look like, or does he go into any other websites, I want more detail. Well, you can do that. You can go over to Data View. And instead of showing you everybody for a specific date, now you have all of the recorded data. You can choose a date range. Maybe I want to look for the last 2 weeks. I can adjust the dates. I can say I just want to look at websites, and I want to sort it by domain. Let's change this to everybody. So here's all the websites for everybody. This is a good place to come to look at all of the domains and make sure, hey, none of these are concerning. Maybe I want to know who's going to E-Trade so much. You can see it's Jim. Who's going to monster.com, maybe looking for a job. You can see that it's Andy and Dwight. Although active time looks like Andy is there a little bit more often. But getting back to the point of Michael, maybe I want to know better about what Michael was doing on the web. I can sort this by user. And now I have my people here. I can look at Michael. I can see that really the bulk of his time was actually spent on Starbucks.com. I'm not sure what he was doing there or how that's possible, but he was really getting into that website. And you can see all the other entries for Google were probably either webmails. Yeah, you can see they're all drafts, inbox. So he's really spent a lot of time in his webmail. But as far as active time, this is really the bulk of it right here. Again, all of these can be sorted top down if you want to. If you wanted to see what these emails look like, instead of doing websites, we could do emails. Same thing. Instead of grouping it by date, we could group this by user. We could go to Michael. Here are the emails that Michael sent out. If this looks interesting and you need to bring this somewhere, you can, add a note, send it to a flag, or you can save it directly to PDF or to Excel spreadsheet. All of the entries or data entries that go in here, as far as an email or an IM conversation or a program or a website, can be immediately saved or exported, or you can export the entire list if you wanted to. If there's an alert word that gets triggered in an email, it'll be highlighted. So going back, you could sort by, if this was a longer list, you could sort by emails that contained alert words. So that's the idea there. This is going to give you the ability to look in a little bit higher level of detail, really understand what they were doing. So that's kind of the idea of how to increase productivity. I mean, really, you're seeing everything that they're doing. How are they spending their time? You might want to build a report that gets sent to you every day with some graphs that highlight how people are spending their time, who's spending the most time web surfing, who's going to the most blocked websites. That would probably be a productivity piece as well. So to show you just first what some of these charts or graphs look like, you can go to the chart view. And see that there are many different charts to choose from. You can hover over it. It will tell you kind of who makes up that part of the pie. You can change what type of graph you want. And as I was saying, all of these graphs, and there are many to choose from, you just go to the Add button up here. You have about 50 or so to choose from, as you can see. The cool thing is you can have these emailed to you on a daily basis or a weekly basis. You can have them, covering a group of people, a specific person over a specific date range. But the fact is that as far as being managers of people, it's not likely you're going to have time to always go in here and look at everything they're doing. So if you have the software working in the background, gathering this data and then sending you kind of scheduled and automated alerts and reports, then I think that's where the value comes in, because you're able to do your job and then at the end of the day, hey, or the start of the next day, review the report, make sure everything looks good. If it does, all good. Kind of go throughout your day. Maybe log in and see a few things, but for the most part, you'll know if there was something concerning that was sent to you. If you come to the report section, to build one of those reports, you just click Add. A preset report is a report that comes with those graphs that we just looked at. Custom reports are more kind of pre-packaged reports that you choose, you know, who it's covering and how often you want to receive it, but it would be like somebody's day from start to finish, all of their activity. You could do top users for a specific type of activity, a quick user recap, you know, 1 page per user if you wanted to do. So that's kind of what custom reports are. So I'll just show you. Both of these walk you right through how to build these. It's very straightforward. So again, preset's going to be the graphs. I choose which graphs I care about. So block website by user. Maybe I want this to be a bar graph. I am active time, not by client. Let's do I am conversation trend. Okay. Let's do media applications by active time. I like that. Line chart. I might want to know how many Outlook emails were sent per user. Let's do a table. Just because if they're supposed to be sending a lot of emails, if I don't already have Outlook email tracking in my office, I might want to just quickly know who's kind of doing the most work there. Risky apps by user. Time spent web surfing. Pie chart. Again, you get the idea. So this, we'll call this daily graph reports or report. Next, who is it covering? Maybe it's covering everybody, or maybe just one group of people. How often do you receive it? Daily, weekly, monthly. Anything that's graphical in nature, you're going to want to do a PDF or a JPEG. If it's more data heavy, like an export of every website visited per day or per week, you'd want to do an Excel spreadsheet just because it kind of packages a lot of data in a little bit easier fashion. But these are graphs, so we'll do a PDF. This is where you would add your email address. You can have multiple recipients of any of these reports. Next, finish, and then you're all set. It'll be sent to you around 2 or 3 a.m. It'll have all of the previous day's data included, and those graphs actually come embedded in the email itself. So it's not even an attachment that you have to add. It's literally just an email that you can open from your phone, look at the graphs, make sure everything looks good, move on with your day. As far as how to build in some automated alerts, just because we're here in the same section, this reports and notifications section, you come over to notifications. There are a couple different ones you have an option of building. Alert word would be getting a notification whenever somebody types a specific word, or if that word is viewed somewhere on the screen. So that would be if somebody, you know, as far as examples of what are commonly used alert words, it could be, you know, swear words or bad words, or it could be job search words, people looking for work while on the job. It could be people's names. It could be industry terms, competitors' names, any of the above. So you can kind of build out that list. If you prefer, we have a few pre-built lists for at least the first few subjects, you know, like a bad words and then also a job search words list that we can upload for you. But otherwise, you can build your own list. But anyway, this is an ability to have the software tell you, hey, this person typed it. Here's where they typed it. Here's what it looked like. Here's when it happened. You can even get a screenshot captured whenever they type that specific word as well. A website would be if they visit a certain type of website, you can get an email notification when that happens. User behavior would be if they do something a certain number of times, whether it's more or less than, and you want to know about it, you can also have a user behavior notification set up. Examples of how that would be useful. So if you guys use Outlook for work and webmail is really not something they're doing while on the job, you might want to know if somebody sends more than 3 webmails in a day. Because technically it's not going to be work-based. If they want to send one because it's a personal thing, okay, that's fine. But maybe 3 or more you might want to know about. If anybody sends a webmail with an attachment, in the world of taking data from a computer, that's a pretty commonly used one. So maybe any webmail sent more than 0 webmails sent with an attachment. So let me just show you how you build that. You'd click the add button, and it's the same for alert word and website. You just click the add button and then follow the directions here. So let's call this behavioral notification. So you would add a setting. You can add a percentage deviation. So let's say 5%. Blocked websites visited per day per user. So basically it gives you the ability to understand what the averages are for your activity, and it will understand if you want to know when somebody deviates from their average by more than 5%, or let's do something more drastic. Maybe it's 30% for blocked websites. So it's this gives you the ability to have the software understand what your norms are and tell you when somebody is all of a sudden an anomaly and stands outside of that norm. Here are the different options you have. How many blocked websites did they go to? How many website searches are they performing? How many total websites are they visiting per day? How many webmails were sent, just like we talked about? How many webmails with attachments were sent? Did anybody log in off hours, outside of a 9 to 5? Did anybody stream media? Did anybody use an unsupported web browser or email client? Did anybody add a file to the USB drive? Does anybody download a file? Instant message conversations, time spent using IM conversations. How many keystrokes were typed per day? It's the kind of thing that you would just never know about otherwise. And this allows you to have the software do the hard work, which is gathering all this data, and then turn it into something intelligent that's usable to get you to the point of saying, this person's not getting it done, or this person's going in a space that's putting us at risk. Printed documents, that kind of thing. So anyway, you can add more than one. You can add 10 to the same notification if you want, and if they trigger any of them, it will tell you. And then you'd add your email address. You'd say who it's covering, maybe everybody, maybe it's just the sales team, maybe it's just the remote team. And this is a daily email, and then you'd save and you'd be all set. The last type of notification we have is an agent check-in, which is more based around letting you know automatically if a computer, say, is in the field and it hasn't checked in X number of days, it will let you know automatically. That way you can make sure that if somebody goes off the grid and it's been 4 days since they've recorded activity, you want to call them and say, hey, what's going on? Did you do something to your computer? Are you working? All of the above. But again, automating that process is the key here so that you can focus on what you have to focus on and let the software do the work. The last piece that we were going to talk about, which I kind of initially skipped over, was the exception log. So that kind of comes back to this first page, alert log. Same idea. So basically what it's telling you is the most recent alerts and notifications that have been triggered. So as you build out those notifications and alert words on your list, if they're triggered at all, whether or not they send you an email and you have a report or a notification scheduled for that is one thing, but this allows you to have the software flag those things as they happened, and then this is a great first place to look when you log in. I would log in, I'd come right here, and I'd say, okay, Jim sent a webmail attachment. What was it? I click on this. It's a marketing proposal. I asked him to do that. He was on the road, so he used webmail. Fine. This is a green flag. It's good to go. This is a second email. It's a webmail, although it had alert words in it, so I want to click on it. Got the client list. It's going to be really useful for us. Okay, so client list was an alert word. Athlete, which is a company Jim apparently is trying to start on the side, is also an alert word. That's concerning to me. I'm going to keep this as a red flag. I'm going to print it and save it. I'm going to bring it to a meeting, leaving that as a red flag. Jim sent another webmail attachment. You can see a theme here. I would want to confront Jim pretty quickly on this, or at least have a discussion with management about what's going on. Moving on from him, Michael Scott triggered a user behavior notification. I can see that he sent more than 0 webmails with an attachment, meaning he sent a webmail with an attachment. I understand this notification. I can make that green, but now I want to actually see what that email is. It's right here. This might not be the attachment one, but again, we saw with Michael's email data that he did send emails with attachments as well. But again, every email, this is another email that triggered an alert word, president. Michael's going to a lot of risky apps. Andy went to an alert word based website, indeed.com, searching for work. Andy is clearly searching for work. Again, this is doing the hard work for you in terms of, are they spending time working or are they spending time doing things they shouldn't be doing? So in the world of productive versus unproductive, this is a great place to start. And then digging into individuals' details on, say, the user view is a good next place to go. If you have to sit down with a team of people, and maybe you're the director and you need to sit down with the manager of the sales team, and we pull up a group which is, let's assume this whole thing is the sales team. I might want to bring this to the meeting so I can again export this to PDF. I can export it to CSV. I can export it to an Excel spreadsheet. And then furthermore, if you wanted to see even more detail of what they did during a certain time, if you're taking screenshots on that employee as well, you could do screenshot view and actually see what was on their screen at that time. It will show you not only what was on their screen. Let's do Michael. So again, the point of this is really to show you not only what was happening at that time, but what was literally on their screen during this time. So what did it actually look like? And you can, again, download this whole thing to a video and watch it back, as opposed to a slideshow, which is a series of screenshots. But you can download this so it's even replayable as a video. So yeah, so that was kind of the bulk of today. That was what we were going to go over, mostly better understanding how to break down, where to go to get this data. What are people spending their time on? What is concerning? How do I set up some of these automated systems of reports and notifications? Again, right here under reports and notifications. If anyone wants to walk through their account together, you can certainly reach out to us directly. My name is Bill Evans again. You can call me at 203-307-2941. You can also email me directly at Evans, B for Bill, and then Evans, EVANS, at awareness-tech.com. And we're happy to connect and make sure everything's working perfectly and giving you kind of what you're after. I just wanted to field a few of the questions here. So somebody asked, how do we go about getting the licenses installed? So that's, it's very straightforward. It really depends on the environment. If you're just installing, say, 1 or 2 machines, you would just walk up to them, log into your account, download the installer file from within the account, run the installation, and restart the computer. So you just install it directly. If you have the computer set up on Active Directory and you're looking at a little bit bigger environment, say 10 computers or more, we give you a silent installer, which allows you to push out those licenses remotely all at the same time through Active Directory. Somebody else asked if we're able to view this data from your phone. That's a great question. So the answer is yes. It's not an app if you're using an iPhone. If you have an Android, there is an app that you can download on our InterGuard. But what I really would recommend doing is just logging into your account from your phone, login.interguardsoftware.com, use your credentials, and we have a mobile-friendly version, which it will automatically convert to, and it'll be really easy to, view the data, see what's happening, see who's logged in, see if there's any alerts or notifications. You can certainly dig into the specific data from there if you wanted to. But yeah, the answer is yes. And of course, if anyone has a need there too in the mobile space, just know that we also monitor the mobile side too. We have an Android product and an iOS product. So if you have employees that have phones or iPads or tablets that are run on Android, we do cover that space, and we are the only company that covers both. So I hope you guys got some value out of today. Again, just mostly to go over how to use some things maybe a little bit at a higher level and get as much value as possible out of the software that you have. Please reach out directly if you wanted to discuss anything. Hope it was useful for you. So yeah, I really appreciate the time, and I'm sure we will talk to you guys soon. Have a great day.